What happens when the operating system meant to protect you becomes the reason you leave?
Over 1 billion Windows devices were supposed to be running the world's most trusted operating system. But somewhere between 2022 and 2025, Microsoft lost up to 400 million users. This is not a slow decline or a statistical error. This is a mass exodus. And at the center of it is a feature so controversial that the UK's data protection watchdog launched an investigation within hours of its announcement. That feature is called Recall. It was introduced in May 2024 for Windows 11, and security researchers immediately called it a privacy nightmare. Recall quietly takes screenshots of everything you do on your computer every 5 seconds, stores them in a searchable database, and makes your entire digital life available to anyone who gains access to your device. This is not speculation. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is a built-in Windows 11 feature, and what researchers discovered about how it works is worse than anyone imagined. This video will prove exactly why millions of users are now threatening to abandon Windows entirely. And by the end, you will understand why even longtime Windows loyalists are seriously considering Mac and Linux for the first time in their lives. Microsoft unveiled Recall in May 2024 as part of its new Copilot Plus PC lineup, marketing it as an AI-powered productivity tool that lets you search across time to find anything you have ever seen on your computer. The company describes it as photographic memory for your PC, capturing snapshots every few seconds when on-screen content changes, then using on-device AI and optical character recognition to make all text and images searchable through Copilot. If you were looking at flights or a document weeks ago, but cannot remember which site, app, or folder you used, Recall is supposed to let you type a few keywords and instantly jump back to that exact moment on your screen. Microsoft emphasizes that these snapshots are stored locally on your device, protected by encryption, and are not uploaded to the cloud or used to train its AI models, framing Recall as powerful but still privacy-respecting. In the official narrative, you are always in control. You can pause Recall, exclude specific apps or websites, and delete individual snapshots or your entire history at any time. The problem it claims to solve is simple and universal, helping you overcome the constant feeling of, I know I saw this somewhere, but I have no idea where, by turning your entire device into a searchable timeline of your digital life. Within 48 hours of Recall's announcement, cybersecurity expert Kevin Beaumont published findings that contradicted nearly every security claim Microsoft made. Beaumont, a well-known researcher and frequent Microsoft critic, demonstrated that he could develop an automated program to extract plain text data of all content Recall had captured, directly contradicting Microsoft's assertion that Recall data could not be exfiltrated remotely. He called Recall an info-stealer that comes pre-installed on Windows systems and warned it could set cybersecurity back a decade by empowering cyber criminals with a tool that lets them scrape everything you have ever viewed within seconds. The problem is not just theoretical. Microsoft admits that Recall performs no content moderation, meaning it captures anything it sees, including passwords typed into password managers, account numbers on banking websites, private messages, confidential work documents, medical records, and credit card details. All of this information is stored in an SQLite database on the local drive using optical character recognition to make it searchable. While Microsoft claimed the data is encrypted using BitLocker and tied to the user's Windows account, researchers found a critical flaw. BitLocker automatically decrypts the drive when the user logs in. This means that any malware running on the system after login, or any person with physical access to an unlocked device, can access the entire Recall database without needing to bypass encryption at all. Beaumont demonstrated that info-stealer Trojans, which are already common malware types designed to steal credentials and personal data, can be easily modified to support Recall and access its data remotely. Even more alarming, he tested Recall by entering fake credit card numbers and encrypted signal chats, and the feature captured them without hesitation. You probably think this only matters if you let strangers touch your laptop, or if you get infected by obvious malware, but here is why that assumption is dangerously wrong. Corporate IT departments routinely image devices for backup and disaster recovery, meaning Recall databases could be copied to network storage accessible to multiple administrators. Cloud synchronization services that back up user folders could inadvertently upload Recall data to third-party servers. Forensics software used by law enforcement can access any unencrypted local database, and since Recall data is decrypted whenever the user is logged in, it becomes accessible through standard forensic imaging. Even family members or coworkers with momentary physical access to an unlocked device can open the Recall app and search through months of captured screenshots, emails, passwords, and private conversations. The attack surface is enormous, and it exists on every device where Recall is enabled. The UK's Information Commissioner's Office, which oversees enforcement of GDPR and other data protection laws, told the BBC it was making inquiries with Microsoft to understand the safeguards in place to protect user privacy within 24 hours of Recall's announcement. The ICO stated that firms must rigorously assess and mitigate risks to people's rights and freedoms before bringing new products to market. Dr. Chris Shrishak, an advisor on AI and privacy, told the BBC that Recall could be a privacy nightmare, warning that the mere fact that screenshots will be taken during use of the device could have a chilling effect on people. Jen Caltrider, program director for the Privacy Not Included team at Mozilla, cautioned that Recall would allow anyone with access to your device to access a treasure trove of personal information, including law enforcement through court orders, or even Microsoft itself if the company changes its mind about keeping all content local and not using it for targeted advertising or training their AIs down the line. The concern is rooted in fundamental data protection principles that Recall appears to violate. GDPR requires data minimization, meaning companies should only collect the minimum data necessary for a specific purpose. Yet Recall captures everything indiscriminately. It requires transparency and informed consent, but many users do not fully understand what Recall does or how much data it collects. Privacy advocates warned that Recall fundamentally reverses the relationship between user and operating system, transforming Windows from a tool you control into a surveillance layer that monitors your every action, creating permanent records of temporary activities like browsing medical symptoms, researching embarrassing questions, or viewing confidential work documents that were never meant to be stored. Universities and institutional IT departments began issuing warnings to staff about enabling Recall on work devices, recognizing the legal liability and compliance risks it creates. For organizations handling health information under HIPAA in the United States, Recall creates massive compliance risks because it may capture patient data visible on screen during medical consultations or administrative work. Legal experts pointed out that Recall's database could become a goldmine for litigation discovery, divorce proceedings, employment disputes, and criminal investigations because it creates a time-stamped, searchable record of every email draft, every private message, every document you opened, and every website you visited, all accessible through a single subpoena or search warrant. The reason regulators care is simple. Recall collects exactly the kind of sensitive, contextual, deeply personal data that privacy laws were designed to protect, and it does so continuously, automatically, and with minimal user awareness of what is actually being captured. Imagine a person fleeing domestic violence who uses their laptop to research safe housing, communicate with a lawyer, and look up restraining order procedures. Every single one of those searches, every address, every email to a legal advocate is now stored in a local database that an abusive partner could access in seconds if they gain access to the device, even momentarily. Consider a journalist working with confidential sources who receive sensitive documents and encrypted messages before those communications are fully secured. Recall captures screenshots of those interactions the moment they appear on screen, creating a permanent record that could be subpoenaed, hacked, or accessed by malicious actors targeting the journalist. For example, a doctor or therapist who takes notes during patient sessions on a Windows 11 device with Recall enabled now has months of detailed, searchable patient information stored outside of their encrypted medical record system, potentially violating HIPAA and exposing sensitive mental health or medical histories. A small business owner who reviews financial statements, bank account details, and proprietary business plans on their laptop can have all of that data exfiltrated by ransomware that specifically targets Recall databases, leading to extortion or competitive espionage. These are not edge cases. These are foreseeable, realistic scenarios that represent categories of risk affecting millions of people: health information, financial data, legal privilege, trade secrets, and personal safety. Recall was designed to help you find information faster, but in doing so, it creates a comprehensive, searchable surveillance record of your entire digital life, accessible to anyone who can reach your device or compromise your system. After widespread backlash, Microsoft announced 3 major changes in June 2024. First, Recall would be disabled by default, requiring users to explicitly opt in rather than being enabled automatically. Second, users would need to enroll in Windows Hello biometric authentication, using facial recognition or fingerprint scanning to enable Recall and access its data. Third, Microsoft added an additional layer of data protection using just-in-time decryption protected by Windows Hello Enhanced Sign and Security, encrypting both snapshots and the search index database. These changes sound reassuring, but researchers who tested the updated version in late 2024 found significant problems still present. Kevin Beaumont tested the beta release and discovered that Recall's filtering of sensitive data is hit or miss, spotting the feature taking screenshots of his credit card data and encrypted signal chats despite Microsoft's claims of improved content filtering. Even more troubling, Beaumont found that biometric enablement is only required for initial setup, but after that, users can open Recall using just the 4-digit PIN unlock option with Windows. Hello, meaning access is protected by nothing more than a simple numeric code. Your entire digital history, every password you have typed, every private message you have sent, every bank account you have viewed is protected by the same security as a 4-digit locker code. Microsoft also continues to state that Recall does not censor or wipe information from screenshots, even when passwords or bank account details are visible on screen, relying entirely on users to manually configure app and website filters. The fundamental architecture has not changed. Recall still captures everything, stores it locally in a database, and makes it searchable, with security dependent on a user-controlled PIN that can be guessed, socially engineered, or bypassed by malware with system-level access. If you are using a Windows 11 device, especially a Copilot Plus PC with Recall capability, go to Settings, then Privacy and Security, then Recall and Snapshots, and verify that Recall is turned off. If it is enabled, disable it immediately and delete all saved snapshots. For broader privacy protection, go to Settings, then Privacy and Security, then Diagnostics and Feedback, and toggle off Send Optional Diagnostic Data to minimize telemetry collection. Under the same Privacy and Security menu, go to Activity History and toggle off Store My Activity History on this device, then select Clear History. Review app permissions for camera, microphone, and location by navigating to Settings, Privacy, and Security, and each permission category, disabling access for apps that do not genuinely need it. For advanced users who want to ensure Recall is completely removed, you can uninstall it by opening Settings, going to System, then Optional Features, finding Recall on the list, and selecting Uninstall, though this requires a device restart. These steps take less than 5 minutes and dramatically reduce the amount of data Windows collects about your behavior, searches, and activity. This is not about paranoia. This is about taking basic control over your own information on a device you own. Your operating system does not just work for you anymore. It works for the company that built it, collecting data, taking screenshots, and building a detailed profile of everything you do. Between 2022 and 2025, Microsoft lost 400 million Windows users, and Recall is a major reason why trust has collapsed. You have 2 choices right now. Option 1, open your Windows settings and disable Recall, telemetry, and activity tracking using the steps outlined in this video. Option 2, share this video with someone you know who uses Windows 11, because they deserve to know what is happening on their own device. Drop a comment below and let me know which option you chose. And if you want to see the next investigation into how tech companies are quietly eroding your privacy, subscribe now, because this is just the beginning. The more you know, the more control you take back. Like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you never miss our latest tech breakdowns.